Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going for a walk in the Grantville Nature and Conservation Reserve down here in southern Victoria on the Basque Coast. I've come for a look to check out the flora and see what sort of condition it's in after the drought, recent fires, etc. I'm always interested to see the grass trees, the Xanthorrhoea australis. They're just absolutely mesmerising species and take my breath away every time I look at them. Now there are over 50 different orchid species in here. I'm not an expert on orchids, but we'll see if we can check a few out along the way, if there's any out yet. I've just bumped into a fellow that's taking some pictures of some rare and unusual orchids.
My name is Dick Wettenhall, and I'm I'm a known entity in this forest because I'm always seen lying on the ground waiting for pollinators to land on orchids. And at this time of the year, which is in early August, there are quite a few of what I call greenhood orchids out. And they're interesting because each of them have their own specific male fungus gnat pollinator. And the reason why they're so specific is that the orchids make a pheromone that's identical to the pheromone that the female counterpart of that male species is attracted to. So the fungus gnat comes to the orchid thinking it's an insect, a female counterpart, and tries to make sex with it, and as a result gets trapped inside the orchid and then gets the pollen and goes off to another orchid and does the same thing and pollinates the orchids that way.
So it's like the orchid acts like a little Venus flytrap type of thing?
Yes, yeah, exactly. It has a trigger mechanism inside it, so when the fungus gnat engages the orchid, it triggers this trap, which traps it inside the hood of the orchid.
Wow, that's amazing. How many different greenhood orchids are in here?
There's about 10 in this reserve that I know of, 10 species, and they mainly flower in sort of June through to September, and then after the winter period, you then get a whole new set of orchids, and probably the most interesting ones are the ones that are pollinated by wasps, and the wasps do the same sort of thing. They're attracted to the individual, mainly bird orchids and spider orchids, and those are also attracted by scents that mimic the female counterpart. So nature's done an amazing job.
Well, now you've written a book on orchids of this area, haven't you, mate?
Yes. So
do you want to give a shout out to your book?
So I spend a lot of time writing about what I see here, and the first book is called, it's basically a walk around the reserve and what you see, with a lot of emphasis on orchids and pollinators, but also other things, other animals and other birds. So the Orchid Paradise book is now out in local bookshops and things, and I think it's Nokomis Books online. But the other book I'm writing, which is now in the hands of the publisher, is a much bigger book on orchid ecology, so all the details of it all.
I need you to walk around with me in here, mate, and we could catch up later date. And
well, I've given you my phone number, so if you want to try that sometime, just send me a message.
Thanks, Dick. Now, show us these little orchids. Now, you're taking some photos of these orchids here, aren't you?
So this one's the best one probably for you to, it's illuminated by sun, but there's several of these types of orchids, and they're called cobra orchids, which is named based on the shape of their hood, which looks like the head of a cobra. And if you look very carefully inside, under that cobra hood, there's a very delicate little spindle in there, which is what the insects that pollinate them are attracted to. And they come in and grab the spindle, thinking it's a female insect, and that triggers them to be trapped inside, and so that's how they pollinate the orchids.
Very interesting, mate. And Lovely to meet you today.
Oh, good.
I better not hold you up with your
Oh, thank you.
photography, mate.
Yeah, well, probably the worst thing that'll happen is my dog will start barking because and that'll.
Sitting there waiting patiently.
So Basil is the director of photography. He's actually acknowledged in the book on that.
He looks quite comfortable sitting there. Yes. All right, mate.
Well, good. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you, Dick.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, thanks very much for the interest.
I've just stumbled across a couple of Hakea olesinas, also known as the furze Hakea. Some nice sort of a copperish foliage. Now they've done a lot of clearing here with this track. They've cleared it out so wide it's getting a bit out of hand actually. Destroyed quite a bit of the vegetation on the side here. They usually do this, I think, to protect the neighbouring houses that are not too far away from catastrophic fires. I've just found here a mistletoe growing on this narrow-leaf peppermint, Eucalyptus radiata. These mistletoes are a little parasitic species. They feed and live off the host plant or tree. As you can see there where it's sort of grafted itself or grown onto one of the branches. There's some little flowers just here if you can see. Yeah, I'd love to learn more about the mistletoe. Banksia marginata here. They have sort of this growth on one of the branches almost like its own little mistletoe itself. I actually had a friend of mine recommended taking a cutting off that branch with the deformity and grafting it, and it may be another interesting plant to bring into cultivation, I suppose. Here's our first patch of grass trees. Got to watch out there's no Joe Blakes out today. It's 18 degrees down here. Have a look at these beauties. Have a look at that bunch of Xanthera australis with the old flower spikes on there. These are known as the Western Port woodlands, and they're part of a larger bioregion of bushland areas. They connect all the way back to, say, around Cooey-Rup, Nyora, come all the way down the southeast, down here over towards the peninsula, Phillip Island, and then out towards Wilson's Promontory. The trouble is, these areas are fragmented, so this means they're broken up into smaller bushland areas. Now this always makes it more tricky for the wildlife to get from one piece of bush to the next. It makes it harder for the wildlife to survive in the long run. In between these fragmented pieces of bushland that go all the way down the coast here, there's farmland. A lot of these places were heavily logged. Once the logging finished, they turned them into farmland. But then the biggest threat came later on, and that's sand mining. A lot of these areas, there's two big sand mines in this region, and they're slowly chipping away each year at the bushland. I'm just walking past the corner where the cemetery is here, the Grantville Cemetery, and already you can see weed species in the area, some sort of oxalis by the looks, some ivy on one of the manor gums. Now we're heading up the hill where I know that there's quite a few large grass trees, ancient grass trees. There we have a Icypogon, the yellow drumsticks. surrounded by some sort of a astroloma or heath. So essentially what we have here is a piece of bushland in the middle of farming, housing development and sand mining, which you can see just over the back there. Now there are a couple of ways you yourself can help advocate for bushland like this to try and get them turned into national parks. You can jump on the Victorian National Parks Association's website. They're on Instagram, Facebook. They're a self-funded organisation and do a really great job at trying to protect magnificent places like this. There's also a group called Save the Western Port Woodlands, and they're on Facebook and social media, so you should find them there. I'm walking through this area here next to the farmland and sand mining, and I can tell there's quite a bit of weed species through here along the edges. We've got the Pittosporum undulatum, which is, although native to Australia, this one here, although it's native to Australia, I think it's pretty sure it's more of a rainforest plant up in New South Wales, but it loves to take over areas that have been disturbed by machines and humans. We're just coming up on a sandy ridge, and here's our first grass tree in this area. I'm trying to look on the ground to watch for snakes, but I'm also looking up into the trees. They get this tree goanna here, and it's called a laced monitor. They get really big, a jet black in colour with white stripes down the back. An amazing creature. Bird species that is quite rare and endangered in here is the powerful owl. And yeah, I'd love to see one of them. We get the eastern brown bandicoots, koalas, wallabies, kangaroos, echidnas, you name it. This place has them all. I've just found this little area here where there's a track leading through here. I don't know why there's a track here, but it's in amongst these magnificent, large, old grass trees. Have a look at these beauties. They'd have to be some of the largest and oldest down here on the Bass Coast. These plants could be anywhere up to around 500 years old and have really stood the test of time. Fires, droughts, you name it. They're living testaments and still thriving today. So we have here a forest of narrow-leaf peppermint gums, messmates and manna gums. Look at the shape of this old beauty. Have a look at this vine here. Possibly, I don't know, some sort of clematis. I'm not sure what the hell it is, but yeah, it's almost like a man-made rope. Very cool. Have a look at this she oak we've got here. It is massive. Look at beauty. Yeah, we've got some larger trees in here as we move a bit deeper into the woodlands. Narrow leaf peppermint gums, huge. The tree hollow here, and then all the algae and moss on the bark. Very cool. Absolute giant of a tree. We've got a Exocarpus cupressiformis, also known as the cherry ballart. This is a parasitic species that's possibly living off the roots off this giant messmate next to it. Some big old trees in here. The area in here is much more predominantly dominated by Eucalyptus obliqua, the messmate or stringy bark gum tree. You can tell by this thick fibrous bark on here. But these beauties can reach up to 80 metres in height in some locations. So we've got some blackwoods, Acacia melanoxylon right here. Many of these trees were logged for railway sleepers back in the day. They built a sawmill here and really went to town on the place, but we're lucky we've got what we still have here left. Now we've just reached this little sign here, so back down towards the cemeteries where we've just come from. Picnic track or Dunbabin track. That Dunbabin track heads up to an absolute forest of grass trees that way, but I'm starting to get a little bit worn out, so we're just going to pick the picnic track back. Just straight down here. Kind of feels like we might be in for some rain. Not sure, but I haven't even checked the weather report. You get that feeling in the air that the weather's starting to turn a little bit. Something that you think that I've missed out on in here, a plant species or animal or whatnot, something I don't know about. If you'd like to share that in the comments, would be a great help to me. If you subscribe to my channel, this helps to keep my channel nice and healthy, and I can continue to bring you more content that I'm hoping you're enjoying. Now I'm testing out my little drone in the background. I don't know whether you can hear the buzzing noise. Now, which way are we going here? Hang on. You can see through here where some of the more recent fires have gone through, but a lot of the vegetation's starting to come back really well, thankfully. You can see up the trunk of this tree here, look at this. Until next time, we'll catch you soon.